welcome to Broken Entertainment. So I'm going to do as spoiler-free as possible review of the Justice League Snyder Cut version. And before I get into that, I kind of want to address this Zack Snyder Geeks and Gamers issue. I've got a video on that already, but it's hard to do the review without also acknowledging that this happened. And there's a lot of emotions going through the Geeks and Gamers community right now. I've been watching their different videos on it, people reacting to what happened, and my review is going to be separate of that. The review is strictly on the quality of the movie. I'm deeply disappointed in the way Zack Snyder acted when he was invited onto that charity stream. I think it was incredibly disrespectful for him to say what he did, especially as the first thing he says when he comes onto the stream. It's just, I understand that Warner Brothers probably pushed him to do this and said, you have to do this or we're not going to premiere the movie, because Warner Brothers is stupid. But it doesn't keep it from being disrespectful. And to me, there's a lot of importance on treating customers with respect. And to see him do that, that really let a lot of people down. And it really enraged other people, and it's understandable. But this review is separate of that. So please keep that in mind. I had already determined to watch this movie and to review it before any of this happened, based entirely on the way he was treating his fans in the first place, because at the time he was treating them very well. Then this happened. So my review and anything I say about the movie does not reflect on this. There's already a video on that. I'll put the link in the description below if you want to go look at that video. But I just wanted to get that out there before we get into it, so that no one is misconstruing anything. So, Snyder Cut. Couple of major takeaways from this movie. I actually really enjoyed it. There was no point at which I was looking at the clock in a 4-hour-long movie. And there were points where I did, but it wasn't because I was like, oh my god, what, where are we? It was because I was like, oh yeah, I should probably stop and go get lunch. So, but I was so drawn into it that I didn't care that it was a 4-hour movie. Most movies of that length, at some point, I'm like, oh, is this gonna end? Or can we get to the end? But I did not have that problem with this movie. Darkseid and Steppenwolf both were very well done. Darkseid's voice was like perfect for me. It reminded me a lot of the cartoons. He was very intimidating. I would have liked to have seen him a little less CGI if possible, I think. But very intimidating guy in his limited screen time. And he does have limited screen time because he's not the villain of this movie. He's the villain of the trilogy that was going to happen, not this particular movie. Steppenwolf, much better. The way he acts, the way he sounds, the living armor that he's wearing, the way his axe is done, it all goes a long way to redeeming that villain for me. And more importantly, he actually has motivation. And I was talking to a friend, they're like, well, you don't necessarily need villain motivation. Well, I do. You don't necessarily need it, but I find it important because otherwise, why is he there? And that was part of the problem with the Justice League movie. I knew why he was there. A lot of comic book fans knew why he was there, but that wasn't terribly clear to people who aren't into the comics. And that's one of the weaknesses of all the DC movies leading up to Justice League, was there's stuff going on that when I watch it with people that aren't familiar with the comics, I find myself having to answer a lot of questions. And this movie gave him clear motivation as to why he was there. And it gave Darkseid clear motivation as to why he would care about Earth, of all places. And it pulled together a lot of strings that were left in The Man of Steel. It pulled together a lot of strings that were left in Batman vs. Superman. Also very good. We get to see Lex Luthor again, only he actually looks like Lex Luthor now. All of that was very good. And the biggest thing to me is that everything is allowed to breathe. Nothing had any time to breathe in the theatrical cut. We just jumped from one thing to the next. In this one, something major happens, like, this isn't really a spoiler because you've probably seen the original movie, or at least are aware of it. When they bring Superman back, there's time given to that. It doesn't just happen and then we go off to the next thing. There's time given to the weight of that and to the impact it has on the Man of Steel and on Lois Lane and on his family, and that doesn't just get brushed over. And there's weight given to Steppenwolf's arrival on Themyscira, where that also gets time to breathe, whereas before it was just like, he arrives, he kills like 3 people, he leaves. They shoot an arrow. All of that quick, fast, and in a hurry stuff that happened in the original cut is allowed to breathe, is allowed to develop naturally. You get to see people actually responding to things instead of just, okay, on to the next thing. Even Steppenwolf's search for the mother boxes is so much more interesting because it's not just poof, he shows up, oh, here's one, here's another one, here's the other one. But that was the thing I noted down several times. I'm like, everything's just given the space that it needs to have impact and emotion. And then so much was cut. Cyborg's actor kind of drives everyone nuts right now, right? But he did a great job. Like in the original movie, I'm like, okay, whatever. You play like basically an extra. Well, in this one, he has a lot more screen time. I didn't realize how much they had really removed. They basically cut out his entire arc. And we get to see that arc play out. And it's great. And it's not only is it good, it's impactful. It has meaning to the story. And that's the other major thing to me that is a huge improvement, is that every character matters. At some point in the movie, every character has a major development. They have a major impact on the story, on events, on a fight. Because if you go back and watch the original theatrical cut, why is the Flash there? The Flash serves no purpose. Cyborg barely serves a purpose, and it's only at the end. And even that with the help of Superman. So now the Flash is critically important. Cyborg is critically important. Superman, when he shows up at the end, is a total badass. We get to see him be awesome. And he is vitally important. Aquaman, Batman, all these characters serve a purpose. Whereas before, the Flash and Cyborg were just kind of there. I mean, they had to hold the Flash's hand in the theatrical cut to get him to save people. They're like, because if you remember, in the tunnel fight, there were hostages, and the Flash is like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do, I've never done any of this before. And Batman had to be like, well, just save one person. Just start with one. Well, you don't have that problem in this movie because the Flash has already been saving people. He already understands how to be a hero. He just hasn't had the opportunity that the Justice League provides. So he immediately gets to work. And then he has a big scene in the movie. He has a couple of big scenes in the movie. And it's one of those things I didn't really pick up on when I watched the theatrical cut. But once I watched this one, I'm like, wow. Those two characters mattered so little before, and now they matter so much. And I love that. In a team movie like this, every character needs to be awesome at some point. You know, it's like your boy Zack says on his channel. If the character's name is on the cover, the character's face is on the cover, they need to do something awesome at some point in the comic. Same thing with the movie. If you're going to have this shot of the Justice League and they're going to be a main character, they got to do something cool. And in this one, they do. Every one of them. You know, the fight scenes in general are dramatically improved. They were pretty lackluster before. They're much, much better now. Every one of them. Some of them we find out a lot was cut from them for no apparent reason. And then others just sucked to begin with and are now much better. One thing I did find funny. There's a point where Wonder Woman drops down from really high up, and she's in her Diana Prince outfit, and she lands on cement in high heels. Not only does she not break her legs, but somehow the high heels don't just explode. So I don't know what her high heels are made of, but damn. But you know, that's not a criticism. It's just was just something that stood out. The other thing that was kind of funny, Aquaman, I guess, just like hates shirts, right? Because there's a couple times where he's wearing a shirt and he just takes it off and tosses it aside, and you're like, okay. There's a lot of stuff left, ready for another movie, we'll say. Which is what you would expect from something designed to set up a trilogy. The ending was, you know, we all knew this was going to end on a cliffhanger. I was afraid it was going to end on the kind of cliffhanger, like, oh my god, I don't even know what happens. It does not do that. It ends setting up for the next movie. Which is fine. You know, unfortunately, we may never see those movies. But a lot of the bad jokes are gone. Not all the jokes are gone. But the stupid ones are. You know, the one about Lois Lane being very thirsty, that's gone. The do you bleed joke is gone. Flash falling on Wonder Woman is gone. But there's still humor in the movie. It's definitely the kind of movie, if you're not a Zack Snyder fan, if you don't enjoy his style of movie, don't watch it. It's going to be 4 hours of Zack Snyder, okay? Let's be real. He has a certain style and a certain way of doing things, and if you don't like those, there's no reason for you to, I'll just tell you now, don't watch the movie. Overall, huge improvement. I really enjoyed the whole movie. I was drawn into it. I was impressed by the villains. I was impressed by the heroes. The fight scenes are some of the most awesome looking fight scenes I've ever seen in a superhero movie. You get to see every character do something awesome. I mean, what I got out of this movie is that Joss Whedon's an idiot. And Warner Brothers is pretty stupid too. Because they set this up to happen. Okay? They hired Zack Snyder to set up this universe. And then they yanked the rug out from under him and started over because people didn't like Batman vs. Superman. That's one movie. There was some division over Man of Steel, but overall, Man of Steel did fine. And the other thing they did that was stupid was to say, well, we want to clone what Marvel's doing, but we want to do it really, really fast. Okay, this movie would have never worked in theaters. It's 4 hours long. But it should have never had to work like this because they should have done independent movies for most of these characters before we ever got here. Okay? And then all that development and stuff that happens in this movie in the first part and later in the second part, a lot of that could have been set up already. But instead, DC wanted to take the shortcut. And guess what? With this kind of thing, shortcut don't work. So we get a 4-hour movie. And it would have never worked in theaters. You would have had to do an intermission. And maybe that's why they pulled the rug out from under him, because they saw it was going to be long. I don't think his original plan was to be 4 hours long. I don't know. They could have divided it into 2 different movies, probably, with a little bit of reworking. But it's perfect for streaming. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a significant improvement in every possible way, and in ways I didn't expect. There's some unexpectedly good moments that you don't necessarily see coming, and that to me dramatically improves the movie. Just treating the characters with respect improved the movie significantly. So, if you're in the kind of position where you're willing to watch this movie after the Geeks and Gamers incident, go watch it. Unless you don't like Zack Snyder, then don't go watch it. Okay? But I do recommend it. I think it's a very good movie. It's easily divided into chapters where you can just stop after an hour or whatever and come back later. Because 4 hours is a lot of time. I wish that this story arc had played out. Because when you see where it's going, and that's another big improvement. The nightmare scene from Batman vs. Superman is fully fleshed out in this movie. And it makes a lot more sense. So, I am disappointed that this had to happen. I'm disappointed that Warner Brothers didn't allow this vision to happen in the first place. And I'm disappointed that Joss Whedon didn't take the time when he made his cut to treat any of the characters with respect at all. You don't really see it until you see this version of the movie, but it's there. So, let me know what you think of the movie if you've seen it. Let me know if you plan to see it. Again, this is independent of what happened with Geeks and Gamers. This is just a review of the movie. If you have changed your mind about seeing it because of what happened, also let me know in the comments. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you next time.